Republicans have had enough with the closed-door hearings, and they are calling Schiff out. Watch.
They leak out selectively the things that they want for their narrative. Our position is that the American public should know about all of the facts.
The tragedy here and the crime here is that the American people don't get to see what's going on.
Joining me now is Texas Republican and House Judiciary Committee member Congressman Louie Gohmert. Congressman, good to see you. I understand that one of your colleagues, Matt Gaetz, Republican, was actually kicked out of a committee hearing by Adam Schiff today. Tell us what happened.
Well, he was doing as I would expect any of us would be allowed to do, and that is sit in on the hearings. He wasn't demanding to ask questions, and they threw him out, and they said, no, we expect this to be secret, just these other committees. And you mentioned earlier, David, actually you go back to 1813 when the Judiciary Committee was formed. Every impeachment has gone through the Judiciary Committee. There was one, well, Andrew Johnson went through Judiciary and then went through Reconstruction Committee. And I know you're aware there's no more Reconstruction Committee. But it is important to understand that, yes, there is whistleblower protection. And the reason we did that is because whistleblowers we're not going to remain anonymous, and the laws are to keep anybody from retaliating against them. Right. So if they're going to keep their identity complete secret, there's no reason for whistleblower protection. But even trumping that, if you pardon the expression, trumping, is the Sixth Amendment to the Constitution. You can't go after somebody if you're in a federal position without allowing the person to know about the allegations against them and the opportunity to confront the witnesses against them and to be able to question the person that's made the allegation. So this is, the whistleblower's rights do not trump the Constitution.
Well, more than that, Congressman, forgive me for interrupting, but the bottom line here is that an impeachment inquiry, even though this is not an official one because it hasn't been voted on, but an impeachment inquiry is a very public event. This is an attempt to overturn an election, essentially, to kick a guy who was elected out of office. It's got to be an event not shrouded in secrecy, but open to the public, right?
It is supposed to be, but that's why this could make even Kafka wince. They wrote The Trial. I mean, this is what we see going on in spades. It's ridiculous. But yes, this is supposed to be public, but it tells you that this is indeed a coup and a star-chambered effort to try to take out a sitting president. And they've underestimated President Trump at every turn. They thought if they went after his friends, his business associates, his families, then he would probably resign within 6 months and say, I don't need this. But they don't know him very well.
He's sticking to his guns.
He is not a quitter.
He is not a quitter at all.
For the good of the country.
But I'm just wondering if Democrats, and it's almost a rhetorical question, if they're overplaying their hand. I mean, Axios had an interesting focus group, and Axios is no friend of President Trump's, as you well know. No. But the focus group was from Ohio, and essentially what they did was ask the people whether there seemed to be grounds for impeachment or impeachment hearings. Instead, they found there was outrage over the idea of impeachment. They want Congress to get busy doing what they're supposed to be doing. Do you think this all is going to backfire on Democrats?
Well, I hope it does. But the bottom line is they are being very destructive of the Constitution and the political process and opening up future elections to this kind of abuse. And I would add, I think eventually we're going to see charges against co-conspirators. And so the question arises, how many Democrats in Congress want to be co-conspirators with those who are attempting this coup of a duly elected sitting president. I think that's where it ought to end up.
Well, let me just ask you another question, a final question. It's got to be short. You're a former judge. Did you ever see a case, just looking at this one case of the whistleblower, where the word of somebody who hears something secondhand, whose identity is unknown, takes precedence over a transcript, an actual transcript, first-person transcript of that same conversation? I mean, why are we putting a second-hand version of something ahead of the first version transcript?
It's outrageous. Yeah, it's legal procedure, law of evidence 101. Hearsay always takes a back seat to direct evidence unless you're Democrats in the current Congress.
All right. Congressman Gohmert, it's going to be fascinating. We're watching history unplay itself.